Turn it up. Woo. Lean back. Woo. Kick your feet. Let it smack. From the coast to the highline pines. We've been talking about the same old lines. Big suits taking up all our time. While the rent climbs and the kids ask why. Kitchen table feels like town hall. Grandma cussing at the late night call. We don't fit in that shopping mall. So we built this show and we said it all. Is that
I remember when Jim told me that Senate Bill 664 was going to be referred to our committee. And I'm like, Jim, you should send this over to natural resources. It's an oil bill. What the fuck we want? Nah, Bob. We're going to keep this in the committee. He said, it's going to be the biggest bill of the session. It was. I mean, they had like 200 private jets at Salem Municipal Airport. They've never had that much traffic here. And every hearing was, people outside the damn Capitol.
Do you mind just giving us a little background about that bill in particular?
Yeah, Senate Bill 664 was sponsored on behalf of the Oregon Gasoline Dealers Association, the mom and pop operators of your Marathon, your Shell. Mm-hmm. And they had been getting jacked around by Major Oil as the franchisor, dictating hours of operation, dictating what you could sell in the store if it didn't have their brand on it, all kind of just, oh yeah. The big one I think was, you accept a Shell credit card for gas that the customer don't pay, they deduct it from you. And the more bigger provision, as I recall, that was the real stickler, was it allowed violations to be handled in an Oregon Circuit Court. Oh my God, the oil company went livid. Wow. John Burns, who was a former Speaker of the House, former Senate President, partner in Miller, Nash, Wiener, Hager, and Carlson, big to-do political mucky buck. His family owns shit out in the desert where his ass died eating sand, but he represented the 7 oil companies. Jason Bowe, longest serving Senate President in Oregon history, represented the Oregon jobbers, the middlemen, if you will, the folks that take the gas to 7-Eleven, Plaid Pantry.
And at this time, Republicans were in control. So this is a Republican you're talking about.
Actually, the Democrats had just taken control after Vic Atiyeh left.
Okay.
So it was more closely divided than it became, with Democrats going crazy all the way across the board, which I don't think is good for democracy.
So the person defending them is a Democrat.
The person that was advancing the bill was Jim Hill,
okay.
a Democrat.
Yeah.
Joyce Cohen, a Democrat, voted against the bill, which is why John Burns thought they had beat it, because they expected both Republican senators to vote the bill down, but he didn't do his homework. Senator Meeker, first-term senator from Clackamas, was a former Shell dealer who knew they were full of shit, and so he voted on the bill. The bill passed out of committee. John Burns ran out of the committee room with a beat-faced red cussing. I don't know what the hell's going on with this goddamn committee. Everything's up in flux and behind me. And Joyce Cohen walked up to me and said, if anything goes wrong with this bill, staff is going to take the hit. I'm like, why in the fuck staff going to take a hit, Senator Cohen? We don't vote. The next morning, I come to work. 2 uniformed Oregon State Police, Capitol Police are there.
The next morning, after it passes out of committee.
The very next morning.
So it's headed to the Senate floor.
It's for a vote. And so at this point, you got to stop that shit at all costs. So, the police are there. I'm still going, Mr. Parker, can you put your bag down, come with us? I was like, well, what the fuck? I mean, am I under arrest? Not yet. What they said.
Wow.
They escort me to John Kitzhaber's office. And I walk in, I see these 2 stoic white men sitting on the sofa to my left. You knew they were cops. I mean, they just had police etched into their fucking forehead and their aura. And Mark Gibson fiddling around behind Kitzhaber, butt sucking.
Was he the speaker at that time?
He was Senate President.
Senate President, sorry.
And so John said, I said, John, what the fuck is this? I literally said, John, what the fuck is this? Well, we're going to have you investigate. Well, let's wait till Senator Hill gets here. And so Jim comes in from committee in a huff, like, what the fuck, And he said, John, what is this? And John said, Jim, you recall I told you last night something was going on with Bob. Jim said, yeah, but you didn't say it was anything like this. In my head, I'm like, well, what the fuck? Jim didn't call me and say anything was going on. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So right then, I had a problem with Jim Hill.
Mhm.
I didn't know what the problem was, but I did want to know what you didn't tell me. So John continues on and says, well, these offers are going to, we're putting you on administrative leave with pay, Bob. Just got to have these guys look into these allegations, these rumors of unknown origin. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? Rumors of unknown origin. I said, who told you? How do you investigate a rumor of an unknown origin? How do you, what is that? Well, just cooperated with them over the weekend. Sure. So Steve Sherburne, who was Jim's legislative assistant, escorted me through the Capitol garage and out and home. And I'm going to the house to tell Pam that I'm suspended. She and my daughter Chris are watching Search for Tomorrow or some shit when breaking news from Salem flashes on the screen. Breaking news from the state capitol. We've learned that Senate Committee Administrator of the Senate Powerful Business, Housing, and Finance Committee, Robert Parker, has been suspended. Then they shoot a clip of two officers holding some guy with a trench coat over his head, handcuffs out front of him, down the Capitol steps. Underneath it is Robert Parker.
That's not you.
I'm at home with my wife, for Christ's sake. I came out to the damn Capitol garage. Fuck no, it ain't me. But everybody else thought it was.
Oh my God.
And before the newscast goes off, my door was almost beat in by the frenzy of media, and I refused to open the door. Monday came. I went to work like it was, 48 hours up. Fuck it, I'm going back to work. So I go in, and I'm the one that put Senate Bill 664 in the hopper to go through the process for passing. Nobody knew that. Had I not done that, the bill never would have got to the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then John puts me off again while they say, we're not finished yet, so just going back home. But I already got the bill in. So it went in for a vote and got rejected, and then it passed by one vote, which belonged to John Kitzhaber, because he didn't want it to look like he had anything to do with blah, 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 blah. So, I guess I should tell you about the press conference when they put me off, In an effort to maintain the sanctity of the Senate process, I had to put Bob Parker on paid leave while we investigate these rumors. No, after speaking with a statewide elected official, which turned out to be Barbara Roberts, and three prominent lobbyists, I asked the Attorney General, to investigate these rumors, unknown origin, blah, blah, blah.
The Attorney General at this time is?
Dave Frohmeyer.
Okay. I know all these names because this is when I was just coming out of high school into college.
Yeah, Dave Frohmeyer, who was Dave Frohmeyer, in my honest estimation, and he was a Republican, but he was a very fair man. Mm-hmm. I deposed him when I sued all these assholes. He was one of the defendants. Yeah. My lawsuit, the first one, had Kitzhaber, Frohmeyer, Barbara Roberts, Betty Reynolds, who was head of the Ethics Commission, and Dale Penn's punk ass, who was the prosecutor here in Marion County. I had the Democratic gubernatorial candidate and the Republican gubernatorial candidate as defendants in my lawsuit at the same damn time. I know that, and nobody picked up on that shit, but they were both defendants.
No, these names are all coming together. It was like
I deposed Barbara Roberts, and Barbara Roberts said something that shocked everybody. I said, well, Secretary of State Roberts, what did you tell John Kitts? I said, I didn't tell John anything. John said, I told him, so I didn't tell John anything. He lied on me. And then she said, not only did he lie on me, he lied about what it was really about. And I said, well, did you find out anyone that was responsible? She says, yes, it was the lobbyists for the oil companies.
Of course.
That started the shit. Well, that's a fucking smoking gun. Mm-hmm. That they circled the wagons and shut me down for 30-some years, so that never got.
Yeah.
Well, and just that he's talking about the formal process when there wasn't even a formal complaint. This was a rumor.
Hold on. He sent a letter to Dave Frohmeyer asking him to do the investigation.
Kitzhaber.
But here's the problem. The statute says only the governor can initiate an investigation by the AG, not the fucking Senate president. So the act of the trigger pulling event that started this joint public corruption investigation by the AG's Office of Organized Crime and the Oregon State Police was ultra-virus argument that they hated because it was true, but they didn't give a fuck, which kind of goes to your historical assessment of Oregon's basically, we don't give a damn what the law says. Fuck that nigga, he ain't getting shit. So that's really what their attitude.
Absolutely.
And they ignored that for years until the resolution was passed in the legislature that said, you can't ignore that anymore. That was an ultra-virus act. Now, I say that to you because I'm still arguing about my money 4 years later when there are no defenses for Oregon. They have no immunity. They have no defense to their illegal actions. But there are people in the Department of Justice telling risk management, get paid by parking no goddamn money. These are just words that don't mean shit. How do you, as the legal representative of the Oregon legislature, denigrate their work? That's your client, asshole. But they would tell other state agencies to disregard what the legislature said, disregard the truth contained in there, which is what led to a second introduction of legislation just before this session ended for a commission to be formed. Okay.
Okay. I want to talk about the master's tools.
Okay. Which one?
The master's tools.
Okay.
So the tactics used to take you down, all based on a rumor. They didn't file a complaint. They didn't do the whole proper chain of events that is supposed to happen. And so eventually some report is written and they decide to put in your race. They decide to put in your religion. They decide to even comment about interracial marriage. And so very falsified document here. And of course, later on in 2021, they apologize. But also you were asked to sign something in which you were to reassure them that this was not racially motivated.
I sued the very next day too.
Yeah. So could you give us a little bit about all that?
I was represented.
The interracial
I was
relation?
fortunate enough to be represented by two sets of lawyers during this time. The incomparable Joe Ricci, who used to be on the Portland School Board with Carolyn Leonard, was my guardian angel for a long period of time during the hierarchy. Ricci, Gile, and Savage. So Joe Ricci handled the bar stuff. John Clinton Gile handled the Ethics Commission stuff. The criminal stuff, they pawned off to a guy in Salem named Paul DeMunez. Who the fuck is Paul DeMunez, right? He just happened to be the best criminal lawyer in the state of Oregon at the time. Took my case pro bono.
Nice.
And the DA, which I called a punk motherfucker before, named Dale Penn, I still call him a punk motherfucker. And I'll tell him to his face he's a punk. You know, after the grand jury refused to indict me 3 attempts, they admitted that there was no bribery problem in the legislature. So why didn't you just stop? That wasn't enough. Well, we found 3 unrelated events where he forgot to put down all his debts on a credit application. And that's bullshit. The statute that he charged me under specifically said consumer transactions are excluded from commercial shit when you're trying to defraud banks for a commercial purpose, like Donald Trump did. So when I deposed his punk ass, I said, Mr. Penn, when's the last time you applied for credit? I said, did you put down every debt that you had outstanding at the time? He said, no. I said, why not? He said, because I didn't have to. I said, well, why did you say I did it? You charged me with a crime. This motherfucker jumped up off the fucking table, said he was not coming back, walked the fuck out the room. So when I call Dale Penn a punk motherfucker, he's a punk motherfucker.
Yes, he is.
You can do it to somebody else, but motherfucker, you don't hold yourself to the same standard, bitch. Fuck you. My story on that. Now, to the second part of that, the Ethics Commission proceedings were flawed from the very beginning. ORS 244.060, subsection 1, as it was written at the time, allowed the Ethics Commission to acquire jurisdiction either by a signed complaint by any person, anybody, or what's called an on-motion proceeding, which means that the commission itself can initiate a proceeding. But since they're a public body and you got to do it on the record, that means there has to be a motion. No, I'm sorry. There has to be a quorum first. So you have to have a quorum duly officially in place, right? It's 5 out of 7 or something. Then you got to have a motion, seconded, discussion, vote. Then it's in the records and the minutes of the meeting. Well, where was that in my case? Never existed. They never produced. It never existed. It never happened. And Thomas Tongue, who was a former associate Supreme Court justice, man, is so burning hell. When the question came up, he was the Ethics Commission hearings officer. He said, well, Dale Penn sent a letter. It must have been signed by him. Well, it was, but it wasn't a complaint. Dale Penn's letter said, literally, I'm talking about the language, and when you see it, it says this: while I take no position on what, if any, action your agency should take, thought you had the information to take a look at it. Well, motherfucker, he's not complaining.
Yeah.
He's referring for you to do an on-motion proceeding, which you did not have a quorum, motion, second, fucking vote. Completely ultra-virus. How many goddamn times I raised that issue. In fact, it's in the record. I went back to the Court of Appeals and the chief judge had the audacity to say, the appellant returns with the same argument he's had all along, and we don't know if we had jurisdiction, and if we did, if we would exercise it in this case. That's what the fuck he said. It's in the record. Well, first of all, you always got jurisdiction to determine jurisdiction. You a motherfucking lie. Secondly, what do you mean that if you got it, you don't know if you'd exercise it in this case? Where's that equal protection thing come from, bro? Why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. Until Senate Concurrent Resolution 22 exposed those egregious actions of Oregon officials and 30-year effort to cover it up and keep it suppressed, it's something that should bother everybody.
Absolutely.
Not just Bob Parker getting his ass kicked. Who gives a fuck about Bob? But everybody should be concerned that we live in a place where people can lie on you, know they're lying, not be held accountable, but you suffer immeasurably. Mm-hmm. And there's no accountability. In my case, as long as Kitsap was running shit out here, I would never have had a chance. It was only when his corrupt punk ass got caught with his girlfriend in the weed thing and the feds came in and they removed his punk ass from office. Yeah. That there was cracks in the system, some fissures in the system.
Well, and this is the thing that is also infuriating, is that there is this document where they say this Black Muslim man who is interracially dating. And the moment that is at one set of eyeballs, no one said, this is some fucking bullshit. Like, why are you having all of these descriptors? Why is this even pertinent to the supposed rumor out here? Yeah. And then it goes to another set of eyes. And again, their racism is blatant in their descriptors, because where is the white man who's a pedophile and cheats on his wife all the time on the down low? You don't see those descriptors.
How many years did that girl suffer before she killed herself that Neil was raping since she was a child?
Shit.
Many.
Until Jeff Foote took her case and got her $250,000, which was a paltry fucking sum for what Neil did to her. Mm-hmm. That motherfucker was governor. Nobody ever questioned him. Mm-hmm. White privilege and entitlement is a real problem in America's effort to be fair and impartial. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They think fair is whatever they say it is. And impartiality is limited to that part that does not impugn them. Mm-hmm. The duplicitous double standard, or to quote my dear friend Jesse Jackson, says America's got to play by one set of rules, bro. Yeah. That's one of Jesse's one liners. America's got to play by one set of rules. Yeah. Can't be a set for you and a set for me. The problem that I think they have with me is that they're still somewhat befuddled that I had the abject audacity to say, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't run away
Absolutely.
from them. I didn't have a pot to piss in, window to throw it out of in 1987. But I came back here and I stood in their motherfucking face and says, I didn't do it, and fuck you for lying on me and saying that I did. And their response to that was, we'll show you, buddy. And they shut down every single apparatus of the state to crush one motherfucker.
Yeah.
God damn it. How do you get away with that shit? How do you do that? Just shut down every fucking thing. Courts, what a sham. Now, I'm a member of the bar and I respect the judicial process. But the politics of it is bullshit. The law says one thing, judges so conveniently see something else, and they disregard that part that matters
Mm-hmm.
and rule on superfluous bullshit to acquire an objective outside of the parameters of what real justice is supposed to look like.
Well, you asked that question, and I will just offer my humble opinion that this is about the best example I could ever see of white supremacy
Seriously.
across all levels, and no relief in sight. And that's the way this state has operated since it was began by people that look like me.
I told Kate Brown that my case was the quintessential example of the absurdity of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Lou Frederick, Senator, bless his heart, I love Lou, one of the most powerful conciliatory men in the legislature. Everybody loves Lou. He's the conscience of the Senate, the legislature. He said, how did you say that to her? I said, easy. It's true. When you look at just how fucking stupid all this shit started from, rumors of unknown origin, well, how far you going with that, bucko?
Yeah.
To 34 years?
Well, and the element of danger, too. I mean, these were dog whistles. So what did they think how this was going to be received? Because in Oregon, just being black is difficult alone.
Oh, that's a
now
crime.
you put in
That's a
Muslim,
crime.
and then you say interracial dating.
Oh, why? Because I didn't like white
when you
women?
weren't even dating
It's not
white
that-
people.
Listen, it wasn't that I didn't like white women. I didn't find plenty of attractive white women. Number one, I'm married,
Mhm.
so I'm not an adulterer.
Exactly.
Now, as a single man, I'm sure I would have banged a billion white girls. I mean, I couldn't care less, right? I mean, because get some fine. I swear, I probably shouldn't say that, but I will, though. I tell my friends, if you come to Oregon, it's the land of big booty white girls. That's what I tell them. Big booty white girls in Oregon, bro. Dime a dozen, all over the place.
It is true.
But I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that. But here's the thing on interracial dating, which I don't disfavor, because I think you find love where you find it. And I'm very open to that. And that's across gender. I don't give a damn. People need other people. We all do. So wherever you find love, wherever that strikes you, wherever Cupid kicks you in your head and says, this is the one, 2 thumbs up from Bob Parker.
Mm-hmm.
But the historical ramifications of interracial relation
Yes.
in America is so egregious.
And they're using that whole process to not talk about what you just talked about. They're doing it to relive and pull up fears and stoke fears amongst people.
I had to sue a white woman in California for harassment. What black man sued a white girl for harassment?
Mm.
Okay, but here's the thing. I think that the stereotypical disposition of how black men and white women interact is very different from black women and white men interaction.
Yes.
And so, from the plantation standpoint of my mother, my sister, my aunt, whatever, got to go be in the fucking orgies with these assholes at night while they leave their wives and daughters in a pristine place who sneak my ass in the back door to bang the shit out of them while they, okay. So that is not what you see in other parts of the world. They don't have So when I travel and I see, when I was in Calgary, Alberta, interracial relationships is just as normal as pancakes in the morning. And then you don't, and police interact. The motherfucking police walked up to me and invited me to, I said, bro, in my country, I wouldn't be talking. You're a fucking cop. America has its own unique set of racial dog whistles and institutionalized code enforcement bullshit. It's subliminal that destroys our ability to just be human with one another.
Yeah.
And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. Okay. My mother-in-law, whom I had to take to the hospital last night, was married to a white guy named Frank Black. It's white as motherfucker from Rhode Island. His name was Frank Black. But Gloria, who was black, was married to Frank Black. So I don't think it's right for me or anybody to impugn on the exercise of the free choice God gave you. He gave it to every single one of us. Every single person that wakes up in the morning, wherever you woke up, God gave you the right to be there, which is one of the big problems that I have with immigration bullshit. Who in the fuck are you to say where somebody should be? Really? And you can't give me your historical legal parameters when you stole the motherfucking country.
Exactly.
Pilfered it, plundered it, motherfucker. Fuck you. Nobody buying into that bullshit. How come you don't afford everybody else the same privilege that you assert for yourself?
Yes.
If you believe in the golden rule so damn much, if it's good for your ass, how come it ain't good for me? What about Pedro, Miguel, Garcia? I don't give a fuck where they come from. Venezuela, Ecuador? How come? Fuck, I don't want to use the leaf blower cutting my lawn anyway. So come, shit like that. But, you know, when I heard Trump say, they're taking jobs from black Americans, motherfucker, I ain't trying to push the goddamn ICE card. Are you fucking kidding me? That's we are so, I shouldn't say, well, we euphemistically, as a society, we spend far too much time trying to categorize other people that we have forgot the essence of what society is supposed to be, which, if memory serves me correctly, is the collective input of all for the benefit of everybody else.
We
so
the
what
people.
the
Yeah.
And that's been the goal, has been to separate people, to keep them separate, to keep them fearful of one another. That's always been the goal from the very beginning.
That is the dumbest piece of shit. I mean, you're right, first of all. I mean, not just like I did with that big F on my damn Michigan. Could have just regurgitated the bullshit that he was saying, but that wouldn't have been me. I honestly believe that the black man would stand up, and I wish his lazy ass would. I mean, because we have so many brilliant people languishing away in prisons.
Oh, yeah.
That it is absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
To think about it. And then when you layer on the fact that the fucking cops probably lied anyway, that there was some procedural abnormality that would have... Oh, yeah. Okay, so you see where I'm going here?
What about all the guys
whole
that are
damn...
sitting in jail right now that have had a half ounce of weed, and the guys down the street are making $1 million a year?
Hey,
yeah,
selling it.
It's about an ounce.
Right?
Come on in, advertising it.
Yeah.
Okay? So the duplicitous hypocrisy of our society is the cognitive dissonance and the scarlet letter and the sine qua non and the real $1 million question. How do we get beyond this bullshit? Well, the real easy answer is just to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Now, that's simple as shit. But then they got all the reasons why that's so hard to do. What's hard is your punk ass inability to have the courage to do it. That's what's hard.
Yeah.
Find a backbone, bitch.
Okay. So you were on a trajectory. You had come to the state. You were working with our state officials. You had a dream to create an insurance company for African Americans for the United States, something that we were not seeing. And I don't think we have anything right now.
Well,
so if you could share with us that dream, and where is that now?
Well, that concept, that dream, is what I want to get back to after I finished everything else, and I'll tell you how that emerged. My father, as I told you, was a racketeer. He was a number man in my hometown. Numbers is the inverse of insurance. You know, numbers is you bet your number and put your money in. If your horse wins, you hit. Insurance, you pay a premium for the same thing. If you have a claim, payouts is the inverse of each other. And I saw that as a child growing up. At the time that I conceived this idea in the 80s, you know, there was still 10, 15% set asides for, you know, minority businesses and things of this nature. But if there's no entity to take advantage of it, it just sits there. So I was trying to form First Insurance so I could take advantage of the 10% set aside in state, local businesses, Fortune 500 companies. And I would have a niche in the market that was unmatched and without competition. The insurance business is, you know, it's like the numbers. You write on a 3-to-1 ratio of your capital and surplus. So if I have $500,000 capital surplus, I can write up to $1,500,000 in premiums. Take that money and invest it until it's time to pay a claim. Now, if you multiply that out, and some insurance companies, those that go under, do it on, you know, more aggressive concepts. Instead of 3-to-1, they do 4-to-1, 5-to-1, and they load themselves up, like down in Florida. And then when a hurricane hits, you go bankrupt because you can't finance the claims. But I wanted to be a very conservatively managed entity to do just commercial care coverage. State, local governments, like if I insure the Salem Police Department, in my policy, your stupid ass has to use non-lethal force with rubber bullets before you can take somebody out. I write it into the policy. You got to argue with your ass about not doing it, but based on race or national, or I just write it into the policy. And if you violate it, then a claim comes up, I deny you coverage. So at the time that this was going on, my company was represented by Jim Kennedy and Steve Wynn out of the firm that was known as Lindsay Hart, Neal and Wakeler, a firm comparable to Miller Nash, Weiner, Hager, Carlson. And we had acquired the agreement of an insider named Jim Jackson, black man, who ran the mergers and acquisitions department for Cigna, one of the largest insurers on the planet. Jim Jackson loved our idea, and he was going to run our company. Allstate Venture Capital Fund had $50 million on the table to put into us to acquire a shell. And we were just waiting for the end of the session to kick off First Insurance. I didn't make it that far. They crushed me 2 weeks before signing die, and when they crushed me with what they did, my dreams for First Insurance went down the tubes with it. Interestingly enough, there are a lot of black millionaires, bunches of them. Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, pardon me, is a billionaire. They buy companies. Nobody ever thought of a black property casualty insurance company, ever. And look at all of the infrastructure projects in Africa that China is financing. If I did my company, I would joint venture with a Chinese insurer. I mean, really, bro. I mean, just have to, how you have to play this game. To position yourself at the table to make a difference. I happen to be blessed to have the insight to know how to do that, but I was precluded for whatever reason. And I don't know if they were scared of me. And I thought they'd run from me in a dark alley. I'm a pretty nice guy, you know. I don't, threaten people. But there's something about the fact that you don't bend over. Because I only bow down to God. But I don't bend over for anybody. And I've always, and I'm thankful that I'm probably just the freest person on the planet that can just stand up and just be who I am. I don't have to assume airs, you know.
Did anyone step into that space after signing die and take that concept and move it forward?
No, nobody would or could. The guy gave that to me. And I think at the end of the day, when this is over, for instance, say Oregon and I settle, say, $25-50 million, right? Whatever. Which they don't know that every dime they pay me, they can get it back from the oil companies, because we got the evidence that their agent did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real easy respondeat superior question. You drive my truck, you work for me, you hit somebody in the rear. Well, yeah, you did it, but you did it working for me, so I'm responsible for your damage.
Right.
It's just that simple. And Barbara Roberts' testimony convicts the oil companies. Whether or not Oregon Attorney General Ray Bill has the backbone to do it, but it's certainly there to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so at the end of the day, we all are responsible for what we do. And on judgment, we will be judged not simply based on what you did, but more importantly, why you did it. God judges you on your intent. So a whole lot of people should be praying for grace and mercy, which I do all the time, so that the stupidity of your actions can be overlooked. But as a society, we got to get to the point where we get back to what's really important. And it's not the superficial bullshit we spend our time with. I mean, that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
And I got emotional because I'm thinking of you, in your 30s with this dream, and you're just on the cusp of it.
Well, I have all kind of yachts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and seriously, like the accumulation of this loss, because you were so close to that contract being signed.
Right there in front of me.
And so,
I was 2 weeks from that.
Yeah. And so I'm just thinking of like Langston Hughes' poem, Harlem, about, what happens to a dream deferred. Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?
Yeah, no, he still allowed me to be here, and he's going to allow me access to the resources to make it happen. I'm just going to roll it out and turn it over to the next generation to run. But that is a golden goose that never stops. Every year, these premiums come in. Okay, claims don't happen that quickly to dry up all your money. So what do you do with all the money? You got to invest it in other companies. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do from an economic standpoint.
Right.
One of the things I was trying to do while I was getting my ass kicked, if you can believe this, when GM was restructuring in Obama's second term, right? Mm-hmm. The TARP funds gave them billions of dollars, and they were forced to let go of Saturn. I had formed a community coalition to go and get Saturn from GM and get $20 billion in TARP money to take it back to Flint to build electric cars and trucks. GM and the UAW shut me down. So the insurance company was not my only good idea. Now, I haven't known how to make a better burger, but...
But 3 decades of accumulated lost wealth.
Yeah.
Brings us to the last
what
question.
What could we have done with the world had they just left me the fuck alone and just be myself?
Seriously.
But
then it comes to the last question of, what does Oregon owe you? They have the apology, but without action, what is the contrition really?
Well, I guess I'm the wrong person to ask, and then I am the right person to ask, because on one level, we don't get to decide how much you owe me for what you did. That's generally done through a jury or some other independent entity. But in this very weird conflagration of events, as I told you, I had to separate myself from the victim and the If we look at the 35 years of intentional deprivation that you had no right to do, what did that look like in terms of my losses? If I was just a lawyer making a couple $100,000 a year, what did that look like? If we factored that into the insurance company, God, the trillions of dollars that you would be just mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. I have advocated for a figure of $50 to $75 million, which is kind of like X amount of million per year for 30-some years, right?
Right.
Which I think would be fair and allows me a chance to go and get a shell for the company, purchase it outright for like 15, 20 million, licensed in 35, 40 states, and then go get me a joint venture partner like the Chinese or the Arab, or Lloyd's of London, and roll the company out around the planet and get busy, because it's a lot of work out there and a lot of opportunity. So at 70 with bad knees, my daughter wants to know where my gray hair is and why I'm not balding. Tell her to stop trying to hex me. I pray that God Almighty blesses me to have as many years to build on that I lost. And I don't expect 30 more years, maybe 100, 104 or something. So maybe, but I see people drop dead every day, much younger than me, same age as me, somewhat older than me. So there's really no clear way of looking at when the clock runs out.
Right.
Or as this singer named Gary Taylor said, when your time runs out of time, what do you do?
Yeah.
There's no appeal to that. The only entity in human recorded history that questioned death was Moses. And what the story reads is like, the angel of death went to Moses and said, God sent me to disembody your soul. And Moses said, F you, I ain't ready to go. The angel is confounded. Angels don't have free will, which is why the big fight happened in the beginning. Because angels and everything else in creation can only do the single thing that God created it to do. Have you ever seen a tree grow into the ground and supposed to out of the ground? It's impossible. Ever see a fish fly in the air? Impossible. Birds swim underwater? Impossible. You can only do what's in your nature, except mankind, who was given free will to decide what it is that they want to do. So we have to come to grips with acknowledging the responsibility and the consequences for how your gift is exercised. People never think about that shit, but bro, listen to me. This is it's very basic, but it's very serious. Every single one of us is responsible for what comes out of your mouth, for what you do in your life, for the decisions that you make that impact others. And if we were anywhere near more consciously aware of the significance of that, we perhaps would be less flippant than the, what's the shit they got on MTV? Beavis and Butthead syndrome.
You're going way back.
I'm just saying, though, because it embodies the mindset of I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's what has happened to our society. We stopped giving a fuck about ourselves, about others. And our society is reflective of that decision. It's really just that simple. If we start caring, we'll have fewer problems.
Well, Bob Parker Jr., it has been a pleasure to get to listen to your story up to this point, and we do expect you to come back again and continue the narrative that we want to hear and share with Oregonians. And thank you so much once again for sharing your story.
I'm humbled and honored at the invitation and the opportunity to share what little that I can on, that part of my life that we're still building on and trying to resolve. But thank you. And whenever you want to be bored again, give me a holler.
Well, and I want to just express just immense gratitude. When I reached out to you, I didn't know if you were going to answer. And so just having you here has just filled my heart so much. And I'm really hoping that our listeners got as much out of it as I did, because there's just so many levels here, and you are just a true gift, and you will be back. So thank you so much.
I'm humbled.
Well, thank you once again.
Thank you both for having me. And I look forward to, other opportunities to share with you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And that's another episode of Oregon Voices.